So it's September 14th, 2021. I'm thinking this morning on television, on comes yesterday I did a piece on Barclay Center in Brooklyn with something called a VMA, which is, they call themselves the Video Music Awards. It's a bunch of artists that I don't particularly care for, or at least the bunch that I saw. I pointed out the three that I would care about, but the rest of them, if they fell off the face of the earth, we'd be better off. So now, that same crowd, less the three white kids, are had something in New York called a gala, Gala. Linda was saying something about Kim Kardashian was there. I'm like, if I saw her on the street, I wouldn't even be able to know who she was, Len. I was like, I heard the name. I know everybody thinks she's so important in Humanville. I was like, but her face, I never looked at it. Not for long, and I really don't care to. I was like, all right, so apparently all the same kids of the half-naked host of the VMAs, they had theatrical dress, but only in their color, somewhere in Brooklyn. And they have something called a gala, Gala. In my entire life, I've never even heard of galas. I don't know what they put on there. I don't know how you get invited to one. I don't know what level of human has been gathering for these things, or how they even come up with the money to put them together. Since my entire life, they've been claiming just how wronged they've been for centuries by the white man, which is all a bunch of fucking bullshit. So, I am thinking, the only time I heard of a gala was this gentleman by the name of Steve Morris, Stevemorris. He is an incredibly classy gentleman, the type of person I wish there was more of on the planet. Three-piece suit, an amazing, I want to say educator, but when he speaks, he just captivates you in such a wonderful manner. He's so authoritative, and assertive, but not overly so. I mean, he's still, to be able to go to a exit realty event, which they used to hold once a year when I worked for that real estate company, was amazing to have him get up on stage and share some of his knowledge and things. And he, at the conference, you have to buy a ticket to the conference. You go, and wherever they're holding it, the annual conference for the company. And then at the end, he has something called a gala, which I didn't know what it was. I had to ask around. I said, I see on the itinerary that there's something at the end. I said, but I don't know what that is. Could you let me know? I wasn't even sure if I should stay the full time or if I should fly home for the children. And they said, no, it's a really fancy dance, like a ballroom, like Cinderella. I said, oh. I was like, all right, that actually sounds, so I had a dress I was a bridesmaid in a wedding, so I used that dress, and I went to the gala. That's the only time I've ever been to a gala, or I've ever even heard the word. I had to go to Exit Realty Corp in order to learn, and outside of New York, we weren't in Canada because that's where headquarters is, but I think we were either in Washington, D.C. that year. Yeah, that was Washington, D.C. And I think one year was in Las Vegas, which is also where Remax had theirs, but they did not have anything that I was aware of, like Exit Realty. They had a really nice operation. I have to think about this. So that should be known, because if there are people if there are people in New York, the state of New York or the city of New York, as it becomes this disgusting nightmare, I want planetary people and global people to know that these disgusting, filthy creatures that call themselves residents of New York or elsewhere and think that they're running something should all be shot dead for stealing money, time, opportunity, and for growing everything really dangerous during the middle of climate change. I spoke to an NYPD rep this morning, or police officer, I should say. Again, he's my color, white, kind of, sort of. But he would be, if I had to beseech a name, not that he's agreeing with it, not that I'm agreeing with it, but again, if we go into the only people I've ever seen working at Chinese or Korean restaurants is a group of people that are not of my lineage. And so he would fall into that category. Perhaps it's a different, specific on the Rapagel. He's got a group of his own heritage. I just, at first glance, I don't have the word for it. But there's a separation, but still a unity in our conversation. So he said that he was thinking about it, because I asked about air quality. I said, I said, would you know where I could get air quality results? Because, like, on the television news, I hear of weather pattern, tornadoes. I was like, still, I don't hear barometric pressure being reported, and I know, like, I'm having a really hard time breathing, but it's not a respiratory, it's a pressurized problem. Like, I can't inflate properly, tied into other things, other physics things. I was like, but I thought maybe air quality is where they hide the result that I need in some umbrella word. And he was like, that's a really good question. He goes, air quality. He's like, I don't, and then he told me what he does in order to use, like, Google as a directory, kind of, sort of. But again, you have to, like, have directional words to even, or a working vocabulary. It's so difficult. And then, even if I could get statistical data on what the air quality is without a full set of working metrics and tied into an analysis, a working analysis, so this way my biological matrix is tied into the correct, so this way I can see if there's any terrorized or, like, off symmetry numerology based on my specific zodiac point in space and time. I mean, it's detailed, but I can't even, as a public nobody, and even using Google, even if I get some statistical data, it's not going to be enough to put together the health monitor that I need for myself at the moment, just on the streets and what I have access to. So anyways, the NYPD police officer said, he's like, that's true. He's like, after this last storm with all this flooding, he's like, it really made me think about the climate change, saying, like, climate change really hasn't been getting any better. And I'm like, right. He said, he's like, but that's a really good point, because, like, that weather pattern and then the flooding issue. And I'm like, yeah, well, that also goes back to the aeration, because you have filtration and the amount of, I mean, like, I think I skipped the word matriculation. Yeah, I said just filtration downward. I was like, but if the pressure's built up under the ground, it's going to start sending the water won't be able to filter through naturally in in a nice way, the way that it should, it's going to have a bubble there. I was like, and it's going to start to push water up and you're going to see flooding. And then depending on how much pressure's built up underneath the area, that'll be the amount of water and how long it takes for it to actually filter through as the air whatever moves around. So now that's going on. I mean, there's evidence everywhere. It's just a matter of I don't know who to report it to. It's like how do you ask and who do you ask a planetary arrest for? If all of the living people or moving parts are in some array of criminality and nobody's listening and you need immediate help, where do you submit a request for planetary arrest? Where you arrest all of the living that thinks that they're important and they're not because you need immediate help and you don't know where to go. Where do you go for that level of customer service at Planetary? Like, who's in charge of that? Because I've got people dressing up in costumes and throwing themselves galas and VMAs and artists and costumes and actors, and they think they are the most fucking important people on the planet, and I will tell you right now, they aren't even fucking close. And I stopped to tell the officer that I had pressure in my back. It was making it hard to stand upright and put my shoulders back because it's almost like knives. It's a set of knives that you use to chop up vegetables or like meats or whatever. It's what I feel like is underneath my skin going from my lower lumbar into my sacral area, underneath my skin, in like the nerve tissue area. It's not always, but that's where it is today. So almost if you think of them as the nerves as strings that you pull, it feels like they're being pulled in the wrong direction, so I can't even stand upright. It's such a mess in physics. I can explain it so well, but it's just like, why bother? It's just reiterating. So planetary arrest is what I want to ask for, where you arrest simultaneously all of the population, all of the animals and animates. So this way I can take priority and I can actually meet with somebody who's a professional and knows that there's something definitely wrong and we can work together. So this way I don't wake up every day with no point, no purpose, and feeling this way. I even said to Linda, I'm like, what is it? Like, I do not see. So a purpose of your total existence. She has a retirement party today for which I wanted to know if I was allowed to go. And she said, no. She says, not until you get help. I go, get help from who, Linda? Where do I go? Please. Like, I was like, you've been no help my entire life, and here I am. I was like, and I still ask, who? Go to the doctor. What doctor? Which one? I've been to like a bajillion of them, and not one of them is qualified to be called a doctor. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. So now I can't even go. My children will be there, but I'm not invited or allowed to go to Linda Marie Gunder, 1949, Cattaruzza in 1968, her retirement party tonight with Merrill Lynch and Bank of America, because I didn't get myself help. Right. I've been asking FDNY, NYPD. I've been making videos and putting it on social media. There's no help in the world. Clearly, because nobody ever fucking shows up that's useful in climate change and pressure change and weather pattern and barometric, anything in air quality. I don't know where to find those kind of people. And the local people are not useful or helpful whatsoever. Too busy hiding their own crimes, I suppose. So planetary arrest would be really keen so I could actually get to like some results that mean something. And so I can wake up and not be situated in so much pain brought on by the environment, which is making my biological more unhealthy every day that I exist here in this disgusting. Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. It's September 14th, 2021. It's Earth solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken.